America's commitment to Israel's security is ironclad, and it's going to stay that way. As President Biden said on his visit to Israel last year, the connection between the Israeli people and the American people is bone deep. Israel is a major strategic partner for the United States. And that very special relationship began when President Truman became the first world leader to recognize the State of Israel, 11 minutes after it was formed. And that was some 75 years ago. And our bond is rooted in far more than just shared interest. It's rooted in the shared values of democracy and freedom and the rule of law. And those values remain essential. As President Biden has said, the genius of American democracy and Israeli democracy is that they are both built on strong institutions, on checks and balances, and on an independent judiciary. And the president also noted that building consensus for fundamental changes is really important to ensure that the people buy into them so they can be sustained. Now, for generations and across governments, the United States and Israel have worked together to strengthen our ties. You can see the depth of our commitment to Israel's security in the robust assistance that the United States provides to Israel. Our historic memorandum of understanding with Israel provides $3.3 billion annually for security assistance, as well as additional funding for cooperation on missile defense. And I'm proud that President Biden reaffirmed his support for the Memorandum of Understanding in last year's historic Jerusalem Declaration. And that declaration again reaffirmed the U.S. commitment to Israel's security. You can also see our commitment in the Juniper Oak exercise in January between CENTCOM and the IDF. About 6,400 U.S. troops participated in this year's Juniper Oak, alongside more than 1,500 Israeli troops. And the exercise integrated U.S. and Israeli fifth generation fighter assets and included a live fire exercise with more than 140 aircraft. It was highly ambitious and highly successful. And Juniper Oak underscored the depth of our security partnership. It was a key step forward in interoperability, helping us both to better address regional threats. And it showed our ability to swiftly flow in forces and respond to crisis, even while maintaining our commitments in other key theaters. Now, as you'd expect, and you heard the minister say, much of our discussion today focused on the threats posed by Iran. Iran remains the primary driver of instability in the region. And we remain deeply concerned by Iran's support for terrorism, its dangerous proxies, its nuclear advances, its aggression at sea, its cyber threats, and its proliferation of attack drones and advanced conventional weapons. Now, we continue to believe that diplomacy is the best way to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. But as President Biden has repeatedly made clear, the United States will not allow Iran to acquire a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran's destabilizing actions are not just a threat to Israel. They are a challenge to the region and to the world. We're especially concerned by Iran's growing strategic partnership with Russia, including using Iranian drones to terrorize and kill innocent civilians in Ukraine. And over the past year, Russia's military cooperation with Iran has deepened. and that poses serious challenges for this region and for the safety of your citizens. Iran is gaining important battlefield expertise and experience in Ukraine that will eventually transfer to its dangerous proxies in the Middle East. In return for Iranian support in Ukraine, Russia has been offering Iran unprecedented defense cooperation, including on missiles and air defense. And all that just reminds us of the stakes as Russia's cruel and unprovoked war of choice enters its second year. Now, Israel has been providing helpful humanitarian support for Ukraine, and I'm also grateful for Israel's participation in the Ukraine Defense Contact Group that I convene. Yet we're also calling on all of our allies and partners to step up now at this hinge moment in history. Nations of goodwill, and especially our fellow democracy, must all urgently do their part to help Ukraine fight for its freedom. And we must all come together to resist Putin's grim vision of a world where autocrats get to decide which countries can be snuffed out. So we'll continue to stand up for our interests, our principles, and our friends. And the minister and I discussed ways to deepen our cooperation with Israel and our other partners in the region. And we look forward to continuing to integrate Israel into the region's security architecture. You know, as a former CENTCOM commander, I am especially proud that Israel has now been rightfully shifted to the CENTCOM area of responsibility. That change and the historic Abraham Accords have opened the door to even greater regional security cooperation. That means new opportunities to share early warning and to integrate air defense capabilities and to expand maritime domain awareness. And that's going to help expand security and prosperity for people across the Middle East. Now, we're meeting today at a time of tension. So we had a very frank and candid discussion among friends about the need to de-escalate, to lower tensions, and to restore calm, especially before the holidays of Passover and Ramadan. As we always have, we're calling on the Palestinian leadership to combat terrorism and to resume security cooperation and to condemn incitement. And as I always have, I was very clear about Israel's right to defend itself against terrorism. I extend my deepest condolences to the families of Israelis who were killed and wounded during recent terrorist attacks. And I am here as a friend who is deeply committed to the security of the State of Israel. But the United States also remains firmly opposed to any acts that could trigger more insecurity, including settlement expansion and inflammatory rhetoric. And we're especially disturbed by violence by settlers against Palestinians. So we'll continue to oppose actions that could push a two-state solution further out of reach. And we'll work to build on the February 26th agreement in Jordan, including the commitment by the parties to de-escalate on the ground and to prevent further violence and to fully implement the terms of the Aqaba communique. So we had a big agenda today. We had a highly constructive discussion. And Yoav, I'm grateful for the chance to further deepen our security cooperation. Again, our commitment to Israel's security is not negotiable. And I look forward to continuing to work together to make Israel even more secure over the long haul.